Hey everybody, it is Jeremy J. Right back at you with another video. My second video of the year. 2 out of 365. So it is a fun challenge and task ahead of me to do a video a day this year. And so far so good. It is any goal that you have is a baby step at a time. And this is baby step number 2 of the year. And you all have been waiting very patiently for me to share some insight into my twin flame story, how I was able to move past it and get to a point in my life where I wasn't consumed by it. And that noise is my litter robot for my 3 cats I have here. I've got this magical spaceship kitty litter. It's pretty incredible. And so how did the situation unfold? What did I do to get to a point where I no longer felt bamboozled by the other one in this situation? Well, I met this person toward the tail end of my marriage and disconnected. When she disconnected for about 7 months, that is when I took the time to reflect inwardly about where my life was headed, what was going on. I want to talk about those 7 months. And I'm not going to give details of where I met this person or her name to respect her privacy, because I know she would wish that, and I believe in respecting people's wishes as long as they're reasonable. And so once she started to disconnect, I had invested so much of myself emotionally into her. So before I talk about the 7 months, let me talk about just how invested I was emotionally. After talking to her pretty regularly for 3 or 4 months, I was raw, organic, untethered by being single because I'd been married so long, untethered by, like right now I've done so much dating that I have a more of a broad perspective on easing into things and those kinds of things. But when I was interacting with this twin flame, I allowed myself to invest fully all my emotions just fully into this person because she was so enthusiastic about my life. She was so enthusiastic about the things I was doing, my website, videos, everything. And that was the first time I'd ever felt enthusiasm like that, and it just made me feel euphoric. And so I invested myself fully in her, and so by doing that in a sort of naive, new way, without all the knowledge I have of the situation, like I didn't know what a twin flame was when I was investing all this emotion in her. When she started to disconnect and ultimately fully disconnected, it was so hard. Because I was so invested, like my body literally vibrated in accordance with my desire for her. That's how badly or goodly or whatever you want to call it, that's how much I was invested in her. Everything just pulsed in my body with investment toward her, or love for her, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if investment is the right word. And so her disconnecting and breaking off contact was hard because I couldn't just shut off this switch in me. I couldn't shut off this emotional fire hose. It kept going, and when she was no longer there to fulfill the connection, like it hurt. Emotionally, I just felt pained. I was crying all the time. I would go running and on bike rides to try and just calm myself down. And in the end, the only thing that helped was time and a lot of tears. So now let's get into the 7 months of disconnect from her. Those 7 months, I cried multiple times a day. I'd go to work During the day at work, I'd take 2 or 3 breaks and go to my car outside and cry. And I would just flood it with tears. On my drive home, I would park, cry for another 15, 20 minutes, go home, still trying to function as a father, which was incredibly hard to do through this experience, cry some more. It was a very turbulent and time of turmoil. But day after day, month after month, I finally started to get to a point where my body started to ease, because I had allowed myself to cry and cry so much. And my dialogue with myself was, I am going to get to a point where I don't need her anymore. And that was my flagpole in the ground. I'm going to get to a point where I don't need her anymore. And I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to cry 1,000 times. I'm going to cry blood out of my eyes if I have to get to that point. Because I quickly realized that I cannot determine what other people do or think. I can only, I'm on this raft going down a river. All I can do is hoist up my sail, try to make sure the construction of my ship is pretty solid, and then I'm riding the wave of life, and I'm doing what I can to steer that course. And I quickly learned that I can't control other people and what they do. And it's not to say that she was bad for what she did. She had a good reason for it. I talk about that in my other videos. You can go watch those. It was just so difficult because I was so invested. I can go back and read my journal entries, and it's so intense. And my blood pressure was high, my heart rate was high. And that lasted from around March of 2014 to about October of 2014. And around October of 2014, I finally felt calm, at peace, at ease, and made the choice to move out. Made the choice to move out. So those 7 months were, each day I was put on a rack, a medieval torture rack device, and I was tortured with instruments and just racked with pain for 7 months. That's what I went through in order to get to a point where I didn't need her anymore. That's what it took for me. And your situation, everyone's situation is different. This is only my situation. My intuition said you must get to a point where you don't need her anymore, because you can't determine what she does. You can only determine what you do in your life. And so 7 months of crying many, many times each day. I'm glad I kept my job through it all and somehow managed to move out on my own and start a new life at the end of it all. Boy, one of the hardest things I've ever gone through. I would say this year is on par. This year since April is on par with that experience. It's been more of a physical challenge this year, whereas that experience was more of an emotional challenge. But both of those, the experiences I've had, are both tremendously difficult. So at the end of 7 months, I got off the torture rack, and I fell asleep in my apartment that I moved into one night, and I slept for 8 or 9 hours straight. And I woke up, and I felt the pressure gone. That morning, I was not being placed on the rack anymore. I had emotionally moved on from her. That's what it took. I'm not going to sugarcoat that process. I forcefully did not contact her. Around August 2014, I forcefully stopped trying to contact her. There was a few months where I reached out a few times, from March to about July, because it was just so hard not to reach out. It was so hard not to reach out and ask how she was doing and what was going on. But in August, I stopped that, and I said, I'm not reaching out to her ever again, even if it kills me. And I built this emotional courage muscle in my body each day that I didn't contact her, each day that I didn't think about her. I mean, I thought about her a lot. It was hard to get her out of my head. But the main way I got through that was to not contact her forcefully, even when I wanted to. I was like, I want to text her right now. No, I said, I am overriding this desire. And that was over 2 years ago. And now I'm calm and relaxed about it all. I'm not feeling this strong urge to contact her all the time. And that's good. I've basically pressed the reset button to where I was pre-2014, when I didn't know about any of the twin flame stuff. I'm relaxed in regards to the situation. I'm okay with whatever happens, if we talk again, if we don't. Whatever happens is okay. I am at peace. I am just a river rafter on life, the river of life. And I accept whatever the outcome is. Of course, I'm doing all the things I can in my life to make my life amazing and great and joyful and successful and happy, and going through the ascension process right now, which is this tremendous growth period, and doing these YouTube videos for all of you. This is where I'm at today. I went through the refiner's fire and I survived. I lived to tell about it. Here I am now doing videos for all of you. This is how I ripped her out of my heart. That's kind of a cold way to say it, but I had to. I had to rip her out of my heart, and the way to do that was to allow myself to be racked and tortured and cry until it was all out of my system. And eventually it was. It took 7 months. This is what I went through. I am a better man today, a stronger man, and always better because of that experience. Yes, it was hard. Oh, I don't wish that upon anyone, but I know many of you watching, that emotional battle is tough. And I'll say it again, if you're in a twin flame situation and that's what you're dealing with, not everyone is. Some of you are together, which is awesome. But for those of you where you know instinctively that that's what you need to do, that's what it took for me. Your situation may be different. Your intuition may have some things that are different than my situation. So this is Jeremy J sharing how I got past the twin flame, how I emotionally moved on, and it was intense. I'm doing okay, guys. A lot of you have been asking how I'm doing. I have been very strict with my diet and liquid intake and removing nuts and wheat. I think I had some cereal today that might have had wheat, so I've still got some things to do to fully remove wheat and nuts out of my diet, which seems to be at least part of the reason I was having so much struggles with nausea and I looked pale. So I appreciate all of you and your thoughts and prayers and healings on me. Thank you so much. Okay, this is Jeremy J signing off. We'll see you in the next video.